Welcome to YouTube on the Ball Report, of course. Catch our weekly report every Friday on the coverage of the growth of football in the Philippines, with latest news, results, of course, plus international interviews. I'll be your host, Pete Irvin. So let's kick off with the Filipino breaking football news. Our special guest has Aussie blood in him, but he was adopted into the Filipino football. He's a member of Cebu Sports Hall of Fame, and for people who know this and a little bit of history, it's Graeme Mackinnon. And he's in Australia right now doing nothing. He calls himself a retirement. I don't believe him there, but as you can welcome him, Graeme Mackinnon. Graeme, you're a person of many talents, player, coach, for many reasons, and certainly for many seasons.
Yeah, I've been around a long time, and I have coached it both here in Australia and also in the Philippines. I played both in the Philippines and in Australia as well.
So becoming an expert in those categories, player, coaching, you also put the magic pen down. The ink was flowing. In the Freeman newspaper, you covered football.
That was after I did it in Manila first. I also wrote in Manila when I was playing for San Miguel in Manila, and I wrote for the Manila Times Journal up there before I started with the Freeman down in Cebu.
So how difficult would it have been in those days to attract the people that were not aware of football with the written word?
Well, it was difficult to attract the sports editors because they weren't aware of football. And that's why there was no football in the papers, and that's why I tried to go and get some space in the papers so that we could get across to people what was happening with football in Manila and then in Cebu.
Graeme, you're well known as a person with a very strong attitude in the game of football. Obviously, with football comes politics.
With football comes attitude, and I did it the way I felt it needed to be done, and sometimes I trod on people's toes, but that's the way it is. You've got to be strong and believe in what you believe in. How
difficult would it have been in those days to attract, say, the mayor, the associates of sports community there to believe in the game that football is here?
I think it was as difficult now as it was then, and in Cebu, where football in those days, in 1988, mid-80s, wasn't strong, really basketball heartland, there was just a small core of people who were interested in football.
Now, obviously, all the years have passed by. We sort of don't like to hear that, but even so, you have a reputation to keeping in touch with former players.
Yeah, my players that I coached when we won the national championship in 1988, I didn't keep in touch with them immediately afterwards. We all went our separate ways. I went back to Australia. Some went to America, Canada. We've got one player in Macau. But if there's been a silver lining with COVID, it's been now that technology has caught up and we're able to keep in touch. And I felt that I needed to contact the players again just to see how they were mentally. And in May this year, I found about Zoom, which we're on now. And I understand now how good it is that we can talk. So since May, we talk every Sunday for upwards of 3 hours. We have a Zoom session with about 10 of the players. They will get in touch. Doesn't matter where they are around the world. They all join in and we have a great conversation.
Now, when you look at that and the conversations that you have, did some of your colleagues, some of your players, have they become coaches elsewhere around the world?
Some of them, one of them in particular has become a coach of referees in Macau. He's the chief of the referees in Macau. The other boys, one in Canada, one in America, one is a son that is playing football and the other is working over there. So, once you get out of the Philippines, you've got to get to work and earn your money, and that's what they're doing. But the players in Cebu, I've got players in Cebu who are coaching now.
Which is excellent, because that keeps the history of football progressing there. But Graeme, we're going to take a short break here, and just for a message here, and then we'll be right back. You know what? Welcome to the world's greatest game of football. You know, you can be smart, you can play smart, whatever your sport. You dress like a pro for your favorite football team. It could be the shirts, the shorts. Best in selection, best in price is Bad Beat Sportswear. It's your team selection. Bad Beat Sportswear is your winner. Welcome back to OTB. We're going to call it OTB after the breaks there, over the messages. So it's OTB, obviously, on the ball report. It's a very special guest, Cebu Sports Hall of Fame guy. Yes, it's Graeme Mackinnon. He had a tongue sharp as knives in the political arena of football. There's nothing wrong in that. You know, you've got to keep everybody on their toes there. But looking back, San Miguel Corporation did stick their neck out to say, hey, you know what? We may sponsor football.
Yes, when I played in Manila in 1980. I played for San Miguel in those days. So they were heavily involved, and through Don Andre Soriano, the San Miguel company got involved heavily in that regard.
So how difficult was it in those days to get sponsorship? That sponsors believed that this game was never going to overtake basketball, but there was a niche there for developing the game.
I think you had to find the people who believed there was a niche there and trust in them to be able to do some sponsorship. I was able to get sponsorship from Adidas. One of the difficult things was being in Cebu, you don't get good sponsorship there. You need to be in Manila where the head office of the companies are. So I was able to contact Adidas through Cebu, and we got sponsorship from them, which was very, very helpful in the early days.
Now, was that, I'm sure that folks out there are saying, how did he do that? Did he just physically go knocking on the door and saying, hey, you know, we got a game here, it's called football?
I got in touch with people from Adidas in Cebu and became friendly with them. And then when I suggested to them that I was looking for sponsorship, they put me onto the right people in Manila. And with that recommendation, go to Manila, speak to the right people in Manila, and that was in 1987. I did that and got sponsorship with Adidas. And the person that I got involved with in Manila then, I'm still friends with him today.
Excellent, excellent indeed. Graeme, I know you're a very busy guy. Everybody wants your attention. We're hopeful that you can sometime hop back to Cebu so we can do some more interviews with you and show you some of the talent here that is growing up, especially that could be for the national team. But once again, thank you for your time. And folks, you can catch the second part of Graeme's interview on YouTube and of course on OTB or on the Ball Report. You know, folks, some will say history is in the making with something very, very special happens. For us oldies, our mums and dads remember Winston Churchill's famous saying, you know, he said, without history, there is no tomorrow. And of course, that was a political statement during World War II. This brings me to the interest of the Philippine sports history. It's ironic, this October, a legend was born for football. The place, Iloilo, in October 1896, and the name Paulino Alcantara. Paulino was the world's first Asian football star. In 1912 to 1927, he played for the famous club side FC Barcelona. This is historical, I'll say. Played 399 games. He scored 395 goals. There's only one other player to take the goal title, of course, Messi. And Messi was recently shown in a photo shoot wearing the 80-year-old Paulino's playing shirt. When Paulino retired in 1927 to become a doctor, but he also found time to join the FC Barcelona board as a director. And FIFA's world governing body of football honored Paulino as the greatest Asian player. Which brings me to things what other football talent were hiding in the Philippines. I tell you, food for thought. We're going to take a short break. We'll be right back after this message. You know what? Welcome to the world's greatest game of football. You know, you can be smart, you can play smart, whatever your sport. You dress like a pro for your favorite football team. It could be the shirts, the shorts. Best in selection, best in price is Bad Beat Sportswear. It's your team selection. Bad Beat Sportswear is your winner. Welcome back to On the Ball Report. I'm your host, Peter Irvin. We talked about the famous Paulino Alcantara, and of course another famous football player, Brazilian. Wait for this name, Edson Arantes do Nascimento. We know him as Pelé, and of course the world knows him as Pelé. At the age of 16, he played for Brazil. Believe it or not, he only stood 5'8". A great striker, a great midfielder. Interesting that Edison was nicknamed Pelé. It was really a mispronunciation of his favourite player that he had and he looked up to, which was a goalkeeper called Billy. So you can see the confusion, Billy to Pelé. I must say, I've had the pleasure of several exclusive interviews with Pelé over the years. You can also check out Pelé's interview with me on YouTube and Facebook. So, folks, let's find the next outstanding Philippines player. You know what? Welcome to the world's greatest game of football. You know, you can be smart, you can play smart, whatever your sport. You dress like a pro for your favorite football team. It could be the shirts, the shorts. Best in selection, best in price is Bad Beat Sportswear. It's your team selection. Bad Beat Sportswear is your winner. Thanks for watching On the Ball Report. Thanks to our production team, of course, Ben, Rennie, Ian, and of course myself, Pete Irvin. You join us next Friday on the Ball Report, part 2 of Cebu Sports Hall of Fame. You've got it, Graeme Mackinnon, well known in the Philippines. And we'll also catch up on the Philippines women's national team. You have a safe week. Share, like, subscribe and ring the bell for news, interviews, breaking stories. Thanks for watching On the Ball Report.